What once happened is now ancient lore. What I now tell has been told before. Ormazd, Lord of creation, descended into the world beneath ours, a world called Iranavij, a world where there flows a mighty river which feeds all the rivers of our world. And in Iranavij, Ormazd came to the banks of that mighty river, and he collected the clay that gathered on its banks. From the clay of its right bank, Ormazd created the ox, the creature from which comes all the cattle and livestock of our world. But from the left bank of that river, Ormazd created even a greater creature, a creature who was tall and broad-shouldered and bright as the sun. And Ormazd called his new creation Kiumars, which means human life. And Ormazd carried Kiumars on his own shoulders as he raised him up to our world. And he placed Kiumars on the highest mountaintop, a place where it was all wild. And as Ormazd placed Kiumars there, he said to him, I place you here in this wild place, so you can subdue the wilderness around you, and the wilderness within. And if you can do so, then you will be worthy of ruling over humanity. And so Kiumars lived in a cave on that mountain, in a place teeming with wild animals, the lion, the leopard, and the bear. But Kiumars subdued them all, and to show his triumph, he dressed himself in robes made from the skin of a leopard that he slew with his own bare hands. And so from that mountaintop, Kiumars became the first king of humanity. He became known as Garisha, the king of the mountains. And from there he ruled humanity for 30 years. But in the meanwhile, Ahriman, Ormazd's dark brother, looked on at this splendid creature called Kiumars, and he was filled with jealousy. For in Kiumars' triumph, Ahriman was put to shame. And so Ahriman called his own son Arzur, and he said to him, my son, we cannot abide to share the world with Kiumars, for indeed him and his kingdom will take powers away from us. We must launch a war against Kiumars and his kingdom. And so news of this call for war spread to the kingdom of Kiumars. And Kiumars' own son Siamak came before him, saying this, Kiumars, O my king, O my father, I ask you to give me the command of your armies, for I want to defend your kingdom. For my long black hair, black as the night, is my banner of courage. For I do not fear any night, for I do not fear any darkness. Indeed, there is no one in your kingdom more brave than I, and therefore none more worthy than me to defend your kingdom. But Kiumars turned to his son, saying this, E pesaram, O my dear son Siamak, I fear nothing in the world, not even Ahriman. I fear nothing in the world except losing you. For if I lose you, I fear I will lose my own soul. But to these words Siamak replied, E Kiumars, O king, O my father, do not hold me back with your own fear, for I would rather die on the battlefield than live in fear. I would rather live with my courage than die from cowardice. Give me the commands of your army so that I may live, that I may fulfill my destiny. And so reluctantly, Kiumars gave the command of his armies to his beloved son, Siamak. And so Siamak and Arzur met on a field of healthy corn. But it was destiny. It was destiny that Siamak would fall at the sword of Arzur, Ahriman's savage son. And when Arzur slew his opponent, Siamak's blood turned to crimson that green fertile field, as the birds above wailed at the tragedy of the death of a hero. Siamak's lifeless body was brought before Kiumars. And at this sight, Kiumars collapsed, and he wept and wept. He wept a whole year. And as he wept that long year, so did his kingdom weep for their broken-hearted king. But after that year passed, an angel came before Kiumars, an angel bright as the sun, colorful as the tail feathers of a rooster, an angel called Sorush, conscience of the world. And this is what he said to Kiumars. E Kiumars, weep as much as there are tears in your heart, for it is the lot of humanity to weep at the cruelty of the world. But as you weep, do not become a prisoner of your own sorrow. As you weep, do not forget that every dawn promises a new day. As you weep, do not forget that your son Siamak has his own son, your grandson, and it is destiny that you must raise your grandson as if he is your own son, and that you must prepare your grandson for his own battle. For in every generation, humanity will engage in a battle with an evil of that time. Go now and prepare Siamak's son for the battle that has been destined for him. And so Kiumars took his grandson and prepared him in the arts of combat, so that he would be ready to face his opponent on that day in the battlefield. And so a day came when Siamak's grandson faced Arzur, Ahriman's wild, savage son. And they fought on that same field of healthy corn. And as it was destined that Siamak would die on that battlefield, It was destined also that Siomac's son would triumph over Arzur and slay him with his own sword. And as Arzur, Ahriman's savage son, fell on that battlefield, his green blood cleaned the crimson stain of Siamach's blood, turning that field again once to its former state of being green and fertile. And Siamach's son emerged from that battlefield, the sun rising above his shoulders, the azure blue sky itself and the birds that flew in it singing his praises. Siamach's son emerged triumphant as the world gave him a new name, Hoshang, which means promise of the future.